Okay, so this problem, they have given us the data and we are supposed to calculate correlation coefficient between age and playing habits. Now, they have given us three data. One is age, the next one is number of students and the regular players. And we went on to find out the percentage of players that is there according to the age. Now they have given us total number of students for that age group, and then they gave the number of regular players of the age group. We divided this number of students, we divided the regular players by number of students to get into 100 to give us the percentage. Now whatever percentage we got here was the percentage of regular players, and age was considered as X. So this is X and this will be Y. These two together, whatever we calculated here, 80, 60, 30, 75, 40 and 15, this will be the Y. Now later the calculation part. So we are calculating Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. First we took all the age group as X, that is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Next, for Y, whatever percentages we found, that is the percentage of regular players, is being considered. Starting, if you see at the age of 15, 80% of them were regular. As and when the age increased, the percentage started decreasing. So this is one of the way you can analyze this. Okay, so that is X and Y. Next, our as usual calculation is calculation of dx and dy. So for calculating dx and dy, we are supposed to recognize the assumed mean. So for calculation of dx, the assumed mean which was considered was 50. Okay, so for calculation of dy, they had assumed some value in between 60 and 40. So that will confuse you all the time. So do not go for any such values out of the y values given. So what will happen is you can just take one of the values. Okay, one of the values which is already in y. So I have considered 40 as assumed mean for y and 15 as assumed mean for X. Okay, so later on we went on to take the deviations, that is X minus 15. So X is 15. Here first value, 15 minus 15 is 0. 16 minus 15 is plus 1. 17 minus 15 is 2, and so on. Okay, this is not changed. This has not changed any value. Now coming to dy. Here y minus the assumed mean. Okay, y minus a, the assumed mean. So assumed mean was considered as 40. So 80 minus 40 is 40. 75 minus 40, 35. 60 minus 40, 20. 40 minus 40, 20. And then you get two negative values. So these were the deviations that we found. Now after this, we have to square the deviations. So dx square, this part or this column is supposed to be squared. Okay, let's just use a different color here. So this dx was supposed to be squared. That will give you dx square. Okay, so this is dx square. Or if you're getting confused, this x was supposed to come down, which I was not able to write it in the PPT. Okay, so just make this as dx square. Then, so if you square this, you get these values. This dy square. Here also same thing. Y was supposed to come even more down. So dy square. And if you square this column completely, you get the values. Now, after doing this, our last step is dx into dy. So that is dx is this column and dy is this column. These two columns are supposed to be multiplied. The values in the third column and the fourth column, if you multiply, you get the values of dx, dy. Okay, so here, once you calculate all of this, just add each of the columns. So sigma dx is 15, dy is 60, dx square is 55, dy square is 3950, dx dy is minus 90. So this is your table calculation. Any doubts in table calculation? Is this calculation clear? Okay. Now let us go on to the formula. Now formula is the same formula, that is R is equal to n into sigma dx dy minus sigma dy whole divided by square root of n into dx square minus sigma dx whole square into square root of n dy square minus dy whole square. Okay, so now let us all put on the values. N is 6, that there is no changes. Next, the value of dx dy. The value of dx dy for us is minus 90. Hold on a second. Okay, minus 90 is the value of dx dy. Now, so we have calculated, or we have considered the values from the total. Then minus sigma dx is 15, sigma dy is 60. Excuse me. Then whole divided by square root of 6 into dx square. So dx square value was 55 minus dx is 15 as usual, which is given, which we have taken here. Same number we have considered. Okay, square. Then into square root of n is 6, sigma dy square is 3950. If you see in the previous slide, 3950, you can see the value here. Coming back, minus sigma dy is 60 whole square. Then 6 into minus 90 is minus 540. 15 into 60 is 900. Okay, so divided by square root of 6 into 55 is 330. 15 square is 225. Then into square root of 6 into 3950. 3950 into 6 is 23,700 minus 60 square is 3,600. Now the next step, minus 540 minus 900 will give you the value of minus 1440 divided by square root of 105. That is the value here after you subtract them. And once you subtract these two values, you get 20,100. Now the next step, find the square root. So again, before finding square root, do not multiply them. So minus 1440 divided by 10.2469 into 141.7744. See, it's better to take 4 decimals always in such cases. Okay, when you calculate the square root of 105, you would get with decimal numbers only, but take 4 decimals for the safety. If you take 2 decimals and leave out, sometimes you would round it off and the answer might go wrong a little here and there. Okay, slight change in value of decimals sometimes affects the answer. So take 4 decimals. Then the next step is minus 1440 by multiply these two values, you get 1452.7480. Okay, so the final answer what you get is minus 0.9912. So first thing you have to understand is it is minus, so which means it is negative correlation. Now let us use our normal bandwidth and analyze this. So this will be +1 and this will be -1, and the medieval value is, or the central value is 0. And this is on to the negative side, which means you will have to consider to your left. So here again, the borders are 0.25, minus 0.25 and minus 0.75. So what is the value given here? Minus 0.9912. So you can say these values lie between minus 0.75 and -1. So we can take it between these values here because it's very close to 1. So what we can say is this particular coefficient of correlation has a very high degree, okay, where age and playing habits of students are highly negatively correlated. Okay, it's not positive, it is negatively correlated. So that is how you give the conclusions. Even in examinations, you can just draw this in the working note column. Okay, you need not draw here after every problem. You can draw in the working note column for you to analyze and give the conclusion. Conclusions are compulsory because in correlation chapter, correlation and regression chapter, all the marks, the major concentration of marks depends on the uh, correlation conclusion also. So that is also very important. Okay, any doubts in this problem? Okay, so here are few of the theory points that we'll have to understand. This can be asked in your 6 marks questions. Please, when you see the question paper, you'll understand in 6 marks, they're going to ask at least 1 or 2 theory questions. So don't rely only on the practical questions all the time, thinking that you can pass just by solving the problems. It is good if you also study the theory part. Okay, theory part, there are direct questions where you can just write the answers and still get full marks. Okay, so that is also one advantage. Okay, let's start. Assumptions of Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. So what are the assumptions that we had? We have solved enough problems already. So now we will be able to understand what all did we assume, okay, while solving the problems. So first is normal distribution. Each of the variables is being affected by a large number of independent causes so as to produce a normal distribution. Now, if you see the analyzing part that we did, the bandwidth which we took all the time, okay, so we told that one part is +1, the other part is -1, and you'll have a central value being 0. So if your bell-shaped curve is directly to the center, which means it's a normal distribution curve. Okay, if it is to inclined towards my +1, which is, it has more, or it is positively correlated, so those times your this is something related to skewness also. Okay, where we saw positively skewed, negatively skewed, and all that, right? So all that is also part of normal distribution. So the values whatever we got, plus 0.72, minus 0.95, which we just got, okay, all this are independent cases and the data will be huge. Even if the data is huge, you will be able to solve it using this Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. Then the relationship is linear. That means when we plot the variables on the graph, we get a straight line. So if you see the data wherever they have given A and B, okay, or X and Y. Now X and Y, if you take the previous problem only, if you plot the data, now X was age for us, right? Okay, so X are the ages and Y are the percentage of regular players. So X started from 15 till 20, but if you see Y, it started from 85% and it reduced. Okay, so when you plot these values, you get a straight line, either like this, or you can have a graph where the line goes like this. Okay, so you will get a straight line when you plot these values on the graph. Then related in a casual fashion. So let's understand what is that casual fashion here. So there is a cause and effect relationship between forces affecting the distribution of the items of two series. Now this cause and effect relationship, which we already saw here, now the age of the students has affected their regular playing habits. Now when they were 15 years of age, 85% of the kids were out playing. Maybe they were playing cricket or they were playing football, any sport for that matter, but the participation was more. Okay, there was 85%. Now, as and when they grew up, as and when their age added on, so 16, when they came to 20 years of age, there were hardly 60, I think 65, right? What was the number which we saw here? Okay, it was only 15%. Now you see, this is age, and this is the regular players percentage. Now if you see here, at the age of 15, 80% of people, 80% of kids were playing. If you see at the age of 20, only 15% of them are playing, right? So that is the difference that you can consider here. So cause and effect relationship is there in every situation where you want to solve Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. Then if not, if variables are independent, there cannot be any correlation. So if at all I say age is not related at all, age is not related to the player or the number of players, then it is independent factors. Okay, so there, then they cannot be related. In such times, it will become an illogical series. So which means there is no point in solving the or applying Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation for such series. There are few examples which they have given to us, like relationship between series of heights and series of incomes of individuals, or size of shoes and intelligence. Now there are many myths, or there are many videos, or you can see lot of write-ups which talk about the size of shoes. The longer your foot is, the more intelligent you are. Okay, you have a lot of things like that which is not real. Okay, that's not real because it's never scientifically proved. Now such comparison are illogical. So there is no relationship at all between such size of shoes and intelligence. It doesn't make sense. Same thing, series of height and series of income of individuals. Now it doesn't mean that the taller you are, the more you earn. Okay, so it depends on your hard work and determination, or the type of work you do, or where you're working, at what level you're working. All that depends. There are many other factors which will affect it. So all these which doesn't make sense, when you compare them together, then that will become an illogical series. And these are independent factors. These are single factors which cannot be compared with such other factors. Okay, but you can compare this height, or let's say you can compare the size of shoes with age. Okay, that also makes a little sense. Many of them have done studies based on such matters. Okay, or intelligence with the class. Okay, what is the level of intelligence at first standard, fifth standard, seventh standard, 10th standard. Okay, that comparison will make sense, and it is logical in nature. Only such values will be considered in Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. So these are the assumptions. These are the three assumptions. The first one being normal distribution, where we take normal distribution into consideration while interpreting the data. And when you plot the x and y values onto the graph, you will get a straight line that is linear. Then related in causal fashion, it has to have a cause and effect relationship. Then only they are correlated. If not, they'll become illogical series, and the relationship is zero. Okay, if when you say R is equal to 0, it means they are not correlated. There is no relationship between two of the factors. Okay, so these are assumptions. Any doubts in assumptions? Are you all clear with the assumptions part? Okay, so fine. So let's understand few merits and demerits of Karl Pearson's. Now in merits and demerits here, first one, Karl Pearson's, one second. Okay, Karl Pearson's merits are Pearson's correlation coefficient is based on all observations. So we don't live out any observation in between. It is not like quartile deviation where you take only the first 25% and last 25%. You forget the middle values in the distribution. All that is not done here. We consider each and every value, because we will be calculating deviations, squares of deviations, and multiplying the or product of deviations also. So we have enough calculations being done, and also we will be considering all the observations. Then it is more popular and practical method than other methods of calculating correlation coefficient. This correlation coefficient methods are practically used in the industries. Okay, you can see this correlation used in manufacturing industries, where they will find the relation between the products or the raw materials used for particular product. They are used in the sales, which all factors will be effective when they are doing sales. And also these Karl-Pearson's coefficient of correlation is used in marketing part. Okay, sales, marketing, distribution, they are all interrelated. Okay, there are a lot of studies which are done using the correlation coefficient, and it's one of the simple very, very simple statistical tool which is used for every research product or every research topic, because it will be easy for them to find out the relation between two topics that they have taken, and they will be able to give a clear cut conclusion at the end of the research by using correlation and regression. Regression we will see later, but for now correlation. Okay, so this method measures both degree and direction of correlation between the variables. So we saw in the previous chapter, dispersion was only giving you the degree. Okay, it would only say, okay, these values are dispersed. Okay, they are far away, these values are very uniform, which are nearby. Okay, so that was only dispersion. But when you came to skewness gave us the direction. So skewness was saying which or where exactly is the values dispersed and where exactly is the value uniform. Okay, so we had two different concepts there, but in correlation both degree and direction is being given by the correlation coefficient directly. Then it facilitates comparison very much, because we have solved these problems. Now we are able to analyze them. Now we will say, okay, now there is high degree of correlation between X and Y, medium degree of correlation. So we are comparing two of the factors here and giving the conclusions. Then it is amendable for further algebraic treatment. Now whatever values we solve, that is the R values, those R values can be further again used in the calculations. Okay, so that is why it is called as further algebraic treatment. It can be used. So these are few of the merits. Now this is one of the 6 marks question which has been asked in I think at least 2 of the examinations, merits and demerits. Then coming to demerits, now in demerits, it is based on the assumption that there is a linear relationship between variables without verifying it is correct or not. Now, I explained in the assumption saying that when you plot the values, okay, when you plot the values on graph X and Y, either you will get a line like this, which is straight line. Sorry, it's not very straight. Okay, or you will get a line like this, which is a straight line. Okay, so here they're saying you might get a linear, so one of the demerit is they're talking about linear relationship. Now without verifying if the values are correct or not, we cannot put that onto the graph and say it is a straight line. So that is one of the demerit. Okay, just because of assumption, we cannot put these values onto the graph and say the values are correct. We have to verify that, and then only we'll have to do. So that is one of the demerit. Then this method is comparatively more time consuming, which is obvious because we will have to calculate the deviation, squares, product of deviations, and then we will calculate, put all those values into the formula, do lot of calculations, simplifications, and then get the value of R. Then it is affected by extreme values. Extreme values means if you have the highest value or the lowest value, okay, two extremes of the values, both the values will be affected, or both the values will affect the calculations of the correlation coefficient. Okay, so this is your Karl Pearson's coefficient. Any doubts in this slide? Did you all understand? Okay, so let's quickly start the revision. Okay, we have another 8 minutes left. So we'll quickly revise everything that we have done until now. Okay. Okay, so let us start. First, we understood what is correlation. Now, when two values or two variables are related, when change in one value changes the other value also, then it is said to be correlated. Okay, if A is changing, B is also changing, that means A and B are correlated. And if we go on and analyze what type of, or which type they are related, then we will be understanding the, or that we will be doing the analysis of the variables. So we saw few definitions of it. That is, correlation analysis attempts to determine the degree or relationship between the variables. So we are seeing how they are actually related, which type, which degree, or which direction they are related, everything we are able to find. So that is the definition. Then we understood the uses or significance. Correlation coefficient will help us in measuring how each variable are related, what relationship they possess between them, and how can we use this relationship in the future calculations of statistics. And this correlation is being applied in day-to-day life, because farmers will see the rainfall and they will predict, okay, this yield or this time crop is going to be good. Or we will see the situation in the economy and say, okay, there is no supply, there is more demand. We are able to come to some conclusions using the correlation analysis. A few of the disadvantages also we saw of correlation: because they are linear in nature, you will not know exactly if it is right or wrong. Many times this correlation is misused. Many times correlation is not used properly, so you will not get right answers. Okay, cause and effect relationship is very important, but if it is illogical in nature, then you cannot solve correlation. Then going on to types of correlation, we have 5 types. First one is positive and negative correlation, which we widely used. Okay, we use this always. So this positive and negative correlation means, positive means if it is moving in same direction. Now, if you see here, price per ton is increasing, supply is also increasing. Both are increasing, it is positive correlation. If one is going up and one is coming down, which means if price is going up and demand is coming down, then it is negative correlation. Then simple and multiple correlation. Simple correlation, when you take very simple factors, height and weight, simple factors, no complication, that is simple correlation. When you take too many factors, now I analyze a student with number of marks in all the 7 subjects, then it is multiple correlation. Then the next type is partial and total correlation. Partial correlation, when I have so many marks of a student, I only take marks in statistics and judge the student or come to a conclusion. So that is partial correlation. Total correlation, again, if I take all the marks or all the factors and then come to a conclusion. Then linear and non-linear. Linear correlation is where the classification is done on the ratio of changes. So here the increase or decrease will be in a particular ratio. Now if you see the example here, number of days is 1, 2, 3, 4 and the wages paid has 200 difference. So there is some ratio which they follow here. Okay, and non-linear is randomly you get the numbers. Then logical and illogical. Logical correlation, there is some logic behind the factors given. Now, price of petrol and sale of vehicles, they are correlated. Obviously, vehicles require petrol. Without that, they will not be able to move around. Okay. Taking example of two-wheelers, okay, don't say me there's diesel also. Okay, taking example of only petrol vehicles, they require petrol or any sort of fuel. Now, when you talk about illogical correlation, which we just saw in the other part, like size of shoe and intelligence, okay, all this does not make sense at all when you compare them. So that is illogical correlation. Then those were the 5 types of correlation. Next, coming to the interpretation chart. Now, this interpretation is best understood with the bandwidth that we always follow. That is taking these values, starting with onto your left is -1, onto your right is +1, the central value being 0. So when it is positively correlated, you have two, something like check post it is, okay, two values. It is 0.25 on the positive side and 0.75 on the positive side. Similarly, on the negative side, you have -0.25 and -0.75. Okay, if your data or if your number lies between, +1 and 0.75, okay, if it lies between these values, it is of high degree of positive correlation. Similarly, if your number lies on the negative side between -0.75 and -1, it is high degree of negative correlation. Okay, I'm repeating this. Positive, that is 0.75 to +1, high degree of positive correlation. Again, high degree of negative correlation. Then the next part is moderate degree of positive correlation, moderate degree of negative correlation. Again here, low degree of positive correlation, low degree of negative correlation. So that is how you will be able to understand. If it is exactly at 0, no correlation. Okay, if it is exactly at 0, no correlation. So this was the interpretation part. Then we have certain methods to study, but we will be only studying Karl-Pearson's and Spearmint rank correlation. Then we understood what is Karl-Pearson's. Here we will be calculating covariance of x and y divided by standard deviation of x and standard deviation of y. And then we went on to see the formula. So we always use this formula here, sigma xy by square root of sigma x square by y square. So these were the steps to be followed. Always in the problems, first analyze which is x, which is y, and then calculate the deviations, deviation squares and product of deviation, and then apply the formula. So this was the basic calculation. Then we went on to see a little change in origin and scale. That is, when you have high volume or high data, you will divide that by something called as common factor. Now in this problem, we have divided it by 1000. So that will reduce our data and make the calculation easier. So that was change in origin. And then we took R directly. Okay.